Internet adoption took 7 years to reach 100 million users. Smartphones took 5 years to reach 100 million users. ChatGPT hit 100 million users in 2 months.
Crazy.
So the rate of adoption was really quick. And I think inherently humans crave convenience. And when you find something that makes your life easier, think about the automobile, think about airplanes, really anything that has increased the way that we can do things faster and more effective, it gets adopted. But generally you have some people who are scared of it in the beginning, and then it ends up reaching a higher adoption rate.
Yeah.
So, this is why Wall Street's obsessed, not because of hype, but because nothing else has ever scaled.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. With a technology like that, it's so intuitive. It's like you're talking to a person almost.
Welcome to the show. This is the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is where you get real clarity about retirement so you can build a plan that blesses your life instead of becoming it. We'll share what you need to hear to replace worry with confidence, protect what you've built, and actually live your dreams, not your fears in retirement. Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 24 of the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. My name is Jonathan Burgess. I'm the owner and founder of Big Money Retirement Solutions, and I'm joined by my co-host, Luke Maloney-Grimes. Luke's the lead advisor here on staff, and today what we're going to be talking about is, are we in an AI bubble?
It's a good question.
And it's a question that we get a lot, actually. Yeah. And I see it come up actually in a ton of client reviews when people will say, hey, should we take a second look at all of these tech positions that we have? Am I too exposed to the overall market? And it's something that we wanted to talk about today because we've heard it so many times. So we thought it would be valuable for you, the listener, to know our thoughts on the situation. Now, ultimately, neither Luke and I know, but we do spend, 9 hours a day looking at this 8 or 5 days a week. So spend a fair amount of time looking into it and trying to give our clients the best possible advice. And, one of the things, and you've heard me say this on many podcasts, where we make decisions based off of the data, and the data states that big investment advisors, the largest in our space, ones that have $200 or $300 billion under management, haven't really changed their positioning. And so that's why we haven't changed ours. But maybe, today it's going to be helpful for you. My hope is that we build some confidence, but also we're going to, intertwine the fact that as you're getting older, you should be safer with your money. So keep in mind, we're going to talk about an AI bubble. I think Luke and I are both probably more optimistic about the long-term markets, but as you get older, you should be safer with your money. So make sure, you don't have 100% of your money in tech stocks. But yeah, first question, Luke, what do you think? Are we in an AI bubble?
Well, I feel like it's a long discussion.
What is AI? Let's start there.
It's a long discussion, but like AI basically is machine learning and machine capabilities at a almost a very human level, and it can become we can get as technical as you want. Obviously, I'm not an absolute expert in machine learning or computer building or anything like that. But we can definitely provide some context to the listeners on, what are the factors we want to be looking out for and considering in this new world that we're living in. But yeah, what's your take? What do you think AI is? Like, what's the perspective of yours?
If I would have had AI 5 years ago, whenever I started this business, oh my gosh, it would have been ridiculous. I think the technology is amazing, and I think it helps the doers get more done.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. It enables you.
Oh, for sure. But, if you don't know a ton about AI, the most simple, thing to use is ChatGPT. That's the most well-known version of AI. But basically, you can ask it any question. But you can also, not like a Google search, it actually can do research for you. It can solve math problems for you. It can do all sorts of things to really make your life easier. And it's all built around whatever the inputs are or whatever data it's being given. So to me, AI is a tool that helps doers get more done. But I think the interesting piece is it has helped businesses, both small and large, grow at a faster rate.
Yeah, definitely. I think the people that use AI in the right way are definitely going to benefit. There's a high rate of change right now. And that's scary for some people. But if you can really take it by the horns and learn like how you use these programs, it can be, life-changing, and it can definitely benefit you and your business.
Internet adoption took 7 years to reach 100 million users. Smartphones took 5 years to reach 100 million users. ChatGPT hit 100 million users in 2 months.
Crazy.
So the rate of adoption was really quick. And I think inherently humans crave convenience. And when you find something that makes your life easier, think about the automobile, think about airplanes, really anything that has increased the way that we can do things faster and more effective, it gets adopted. But generally you have some people who are scared of it in the beginning, and then it ends up reaching a higher adoption rate. Yeah. So, this is why Wall Street's obsessed, not because of hype, but because nothing else has ever scaled.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. With a technology like that, it's so intuitive. It's like you're talking to a person almost. And obviously it's so accessible. If you have an internet connection, you can get on ChatGPT. So in terms of scalability, it's an incredible number that they hit 100 million users in 2 months. But yes, the scalability and the intuitiveness of it, I think it was really the spark that really got people interested in AI, because AI has been around for a long time. And there's been big companies that have been developing those capabilities. But this is the first time where we have all, as a planet, all of us together have been able to see the effects, because they were really developed into a large language model that was very intuitive. And it's like you're actually able to have a conversation with it, for like the everyday person. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is going back to the piece of it helps doers get more done. I mean, the way that I most commonly use it is in the car, actually on voice mode.
Yeah, I use it too.
Yeah. So whenever I'm driving, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about this concept or idea and how to implement it. And I'll have a conversation back and forth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't replace the brain, obviously. You're kind of done if you think it replaces the brain.
Right, yeah.
But you still have to actively think.
Yeah, you definitely need to think, but it's like an assistant. It's almost like you can have a conversation with the internet.
Yeah.
Even verbally, like even the ChatGPT app, I use it just like you. I can put it on voice mode and I can just have a conversation with it while I'm driving, asking it questions about investments, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing is, that's everyday people like Luke and I using it. But the thing is, large companies are implementing AI to work faster, better. Companies like NVIDIA, right? One of the reasons that they're benefiting from the rise of AI so much is there's all this technology that has to be built around it. The demand and speed of computing devices are increasing literally by the second. So they're really on the forefront of making sure that software capability or hardware capability exists, and which is why they're growing as fast as they are.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a bubble, it's too large. But the thing is, the learning speed is just getting quicker. And if you look at something like the S&P 500, like an index fund, a lot of an index fund right now is going to be comprised of big tech that largely focuses on AI. But I think that, and you and I were having this conversation before, I don't know if the past rates of return, like in the S&P 500 or in a tech-focused sector, even though they've been great the last 10 years, the next 10 years may actually be better.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? This is like a huge change in the world and to these companies. So if they can, adopt these capabilities and pull them into their business models and somehow make them even more scalable or more profitable, that's going to definitely increase returns and surprise to the upside. But who knows? There's a lot that's changing, so it does require a lot of paying attention to. So it's good that we have a team to look at it all.
Yeah, unless it kills us first.
Hopefully not. Hopefully this is not a Skynet situation.
It's like the Terminator.
Yeah. No.
I'm not like super nice to ChatGPT whenever it doesn't give me the answer that I want. I'm like, you idiot.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't have feelings.
Yeah. I'm like, give me the answer now.
Yes. Yeah. As fast as possible.
So if it comes after us, guys, I'm sorry. I'm probably dead first.
Okay. Well, hey, don't worry about it. And
I'm super nice to everyone, people, like real people.
Yeah. If it has feelings.
But I boss ChatGPT around for sure. Smack it around a little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully it's just a machine and doesn't feel anything. So
yeah.
But yeah, I love learning about this kind of thing, and I've spent a good amount of time following it and learning about the capabilities and how these softwares and programs can be integrated in these businesses, and learning about the industry as well, like from the top down. We can get into like the different areas that really could benefit and how things are changing. But there's certain companies like big tech that really could and are benefiting from these technologies. You have certain platforms like Google and Meta, who, by the way, have used artificial intelligence for a long time, and but they provide at the end of the day a service, which is you can connect with your friends. Like on Meta, you have Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, which are all owned by Meta, by the way. And then Google, you can really access all of the world's information easily, through an interface, which is comprehensive. It's not just a chatbot. It's not just image searches. It's everything. So you have these platforms that provide all of this accessibility. And with that, they can charge for ad revenue. They can put ads there too. So they make money from ads at the end of the day. How good they are doing that, they can use AI to be better at doing that. So they are investing a lot in these in AI, and to do that they need to buy chips, so GPU chips, general processing unit chips. So that is basically allowing this compute power. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of compute power to run these models. Like when you ask a question to ChatGPT, that'd be really hard to run that on like one little disk or GPU. Like that has to be connected to a big server of a lot, which has a lot of compute capacity. And so these GPUs, they are designed by companies like NVIDIA, which are very, very good at creating the top tier designs, which is why they're doing so well. And they can charge a lot for it. But they don't actually manufacture the chips. There's companies like Taiwan Semiconductor,
right,
that's actually builds them. So NVIDIA gives them the designs, they actually build them, and they have the most scale, they have the most talent to do that. And then the actual chips themselves, like the wafers, where they come from, there's like a circular wafer where there's basically like how it's created. Those are created by mainly ASML, which is another company, which that's kind of like the industry stack, like the whole that is the main structure of the industry. So there's those few companies have benefited a lot, but now, like, things are changing every day. Like even the big platforms like Google, Microsoft, they're all creating their own chips too. So where will NVIDIA go from here? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and who knows, but it just takes a lot of watching. We could talk about a lot of this all day.
If retirement clarity matters to you, don't wait. Text BOOK to 864-920-3155 or click the link in the description below to get a free copy of Jonathan's book, Retire Right.
I could talk about this all day. I really appreciate the fact that you broke that down that way. That is one of the simplest. And you as the listener, if you've ever heard that before, please let me know. But that was one of the first times I've heard it explained that simply.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So that's kind of like really the flow of services. It starts with the creation of the wafers. Then you have the designer, like the NVIDIA. Then you have the manufacturer, which is TSMC. And then they are mainly being bought by the big platforms right now, like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta. So that's why, they have to spend so much money on this to build their data centers that they have to cut expenses in different areas, but in the short term, it's increased their profit margins.
Yeah, and then you think about real estate companies like Prologis. These large data centers are having to be built to hold all of these servers and all the data that's actually coming in. So there are adjacent industries that are benefiting from it as well.
Yeah.
But when you really dig into it, at the end of the day, walk down the road. I love the way that Warren Buffett invests. As Luke's drinking a Diet Coke, I love the way that Warren Buffett invests, and it is really, common sense investing. So you take some of the information like Luke just was talking about and mix that with, let's go walk in downtown Greenville. How many people are staring at, Falls Park or the river versus how many people are staring at their cell phones? You've got this beautiful landscape around you. The mountains are, to your left. You've got the river to your right, and people are on their cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
They're staring at these things, irregardless of all the beauty that's happening around them in the world that's happening around them, because it's grabbing their attention. And that's Facebook, Instagram, Google, Meta, and these companies. And so when you're looking at where to put dollars, it is kind of sad. I would say, generally you want to see more people out in the world interacting, but a lot of the attention is going to these devices. And so, if you're looking at somewhere to put your money or your growth, I know we always talk about the growth bucket, but if you're looking at building your growth bucket, that's one of the best places to look, is where is the attention going?
Yeah, totally. And that's their business model, is how do they make it as attention grabbing as possible? It's been a great business model. Like for Meta, for instance, they just go from strength to strength constantly. But yeah, and at the end of the day, consumers, people, they do make their own choices. People choose to be on their phones, versus looking at the world around them. But at the end of the day, that is a choice, So a lot of the time you want to just look at naturally what is happening in your environment, and really, if you can align yourself with the success of that company that's providing that service that people are choosing. They're not being forced to be on their phones and consume content, but as an investment thesis, it's pretty strong.
Yep. And the other thing too is, what other adjacent industry could be affected? Electricity. I mean, not only do you need the space for the servers and all of those things, you need to be able to pump electricity into these data centers. So, where are the wires being provided to do this? The batteries, all the materials and the raw materials associated with the building of, the electricity infrastructure. So that's another adjacent industry that could benefit largely from AI. But I think a lot of people are scared of it. But as a retiree, when your portfolio is structured correctly and you have the right base, you can really get aggressive with some of these theses, like you're talking about with, you wouldn't put 100% of your money into an AI portfolio, right? But I think the general consensus of let the winners win. Don't feel like you have to pick anything. That's why we love index funds. And if technology ends up being technology, AI, data centers, all these things end up being what drives the return of the S&P 500, great. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to pick it. But if you have a base of safe money, which you have to have in retirement, you don't really have to worry about the ups and downs or the general worry of a tech bubble.
Yeah. And again, we're a retirement planning company. So at the end of the day, we want to filter it down to what's most important for you. But, at the end of the day, yes, there's a huge rate of change these days compared to a long time ago. The rate of change has just gotten faster and faster with new technology. And that is a reality that we need to live with and just be okay with. And so it's good to, have a team that can be looking at this kind of thing every day, which I do. I mean, literally last night, I fell asleep listening to the Adobe earnings call. Like I woke up and I was like, oh, it's over. So anyway, so I'm always learning and researching this kind of thing. But staying diversified, having safe money and an income plan, that's going to be your shield against all of this change.
And the other thing too is AI reduces labor costs. I mean, so there will be some people who, especially if the winners, like the true A players and companies, they adopt it. And then so, a lot of times the B and C and D players end up getting filtered out. But then what does that do? Well, when you have less labor costs, it results in EBITDA, which is, profit margin. And when companies have a higher profit margin, generally the stock price is going to go up. So, that's going to lead to stronger stock valuations over time as well, or just the general optimism around the market. And two, knowing that, right now the markets are still doing really well, even with a lot of this AI like pessimism around it. It's still, the numbers are showing that everything's going really well right now.
Yeah, like some of the top companies that I follow, most of the Mag 7, which is the Magnificent 7, the biggest 7 companies in the US by their market size. A lot of them are just going from strength to strength. They really are what they have gotten to this point in time and their size and their success for a reason. And they're doing very well. I wouldn't quite compare it to like the .com bubble, for instance, even though people think that could be similar. But at that point, there's a lot of data that shows that they were extremely overvalued as companies. There's a lot of companies that had either zero or close to zero revenue and profits that were selling at sky high amounts. But right now you have some core companies that are extremely strong, and they're investing in real technology, and they're reasonably valued based on reasonable projections of their growth, of their business growth itself. And analysts, for instance, that I follow, think most of them are reasonably valued. I think at any point in time, there's always a possibility of a 20-30% correction. Like from here, I think that could be totally possible. And like at any point in time,
I agree.
At any point in time, just know that that's the reality if you're in stocks.
Well, even if you look at the tech bubble, there were companies that made it through the tech bubble, but I think the reason why a lot of people got crushed, they just thought if it had anything to do with the internet, they should invest in it. And I think that's where some people could get burned in this AI revolution, is they could say, oh, well, this stock is revolutionizing biotech, and get crushed if they have no revenue or anything of that nature. Just a very speculative investment. Still, it doesn't replace, just because AI is beside something doesn't mean it's going to be a winner. And I think the same way that you view, common sense investments today, you should be even more cautious around AI investments.
Yeah, you want to be always very cautious. And like my investment approach actually is extremely cautious. I always look for long, healthy track records of companies that are very profitable and have a long runway of growth ahead, but that have also proven to adopt technology and change with the times. And so, those couple things are super important. You wouldn't just want to throw all of your money on an AI startup that hasn't proven its track record. At least don't make that a huge portion of your portfolio. It always depends. But like for me, I'd much prefer the large established companies that have done very well in the past.
All right, Luke. So what's your prediction? AI bubble or AI boom?
So when it comes to predictions, like it's always like an odds game. Like when it comes to investing in stocks.
Can I give you mine first?
Yeah, sure. You go ahead.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
And to even put it that, I would have an opinion on it would be a terrible thing to do,
right?
As an advisor.
Yeah.
We always talk about asset allocation, and you want to make sure your assets are allocated correctly. Now I'm going to ask.
I love that. That's probably the best response you could possibly give. But it's always an odds game when it comes to investing in the stock market or investing in general. What are the odds of X happening or Y happening? And when it comes to like bubble, it doesn't necessarily strike me as very obvious that there is a bubble. At any point in time, valuations can easily correct by 20-30%. Like that's just the reality. But there's a lot of great companies that are doing a lot of great work with AI as well. And so in the market, I would say it's about fairly valued. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen if stock's going to go up or down. Again, we want to bring it back to the plan. And, we account for in our cash flows, for instance, the one-page cash flow plan, we account for 20-30% corrections in the first year or two. So no matter what, at the end of the day, do you have an income plan? And are you going to be okay? And if you have that, you're not going to be on the roller coaster as much, worrying about this in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's going to help you give, peace of mind.
Asset allocation 100%. So thanks for tuning in to this episode of Build Big, Live Bigger. Luke, thank you for your expertise.
Thank you.
I appreciate you as always, and we will see you on the next episode.